Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like a stranger was staring back at you? Have you ever caught yourself acting, thinking, or speaking in ways that don't feel like you? Maybe life has changed you, or maybe without realizing it, you've changed yourself. The truth is, we are constantly evolving. Every experience, every hardship, and every triumph shapes us. Sometimes that change is growth. Other times it's a slow drift away from who we once were. Maybe once you were full of hope, passion, and energy. But over time, life's weight, disappointments, failures, betrayals has chipped away at you. You've become someone you never expected to be, distant, discouraged, or numb. Change is one of the most fundamental aspects of life. No matter how much we try to hold on to the past or remain the same, we are constantly evolving. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by our environment, experiences, relationships, successes, and failures. Some changes are small and almost unnoticeable, like shifting interests or evolving perspectives, while others are drastic and life-altering, such as losing a loved one, facing heartbreak, or experiencing a major career shift. Whether we embrace it or resist it, change is inevitable, and it has the power to redefine who we are. Often, we don't even realize we are changing. It happens gradually, through the everyday moments that add up over time. The things that once excited us might start to feel dull. Our opinions on certain topics may shift as we gain more knowledge and experience. The way we handle situations may evolve as we mature. We may not notice the transformation within ourselves until one day we look back and realize we are no longer the same person we used to be. This realization can be unsettling for some because it creates a sense of unfamiliarity with oneself. However, change is not something to fear. It is a sign of growth, learning, and adaptation. Sometimes change comes as a result of pain. Difficult experiences, such as betrayal, loss, or failure, can reshape our mindset and the way we approach life. A person who was once trusting and open-hearted may become guarded after being hurt too many times. Someone who was once full of dreams and ambition may become hesitant after facing repeated disappointments. While these shifts can feel like losing oneself, they are often mechanisms of self-protection and resilience. However, it is important to recognize whether the changes we experience are serving us in a positive way or holding us back. Growth should empower us, not make us lose the best parts of who we are. Change also occurs through the influence of the people around us. The company we keep has a profound impact on our personalities and choices. Friends, family, colleagues, and even social media shape the way we think and behave. Sometimes we adopt habits, beliefs, and lifestyles that are not truly our own, but are instead reflections of those we spend time with. Over time, this can make us feel disconnected from our authentic selves. It's crucial to be mindful of the changes we undergo and to ask ourselves whether they align with who we truly want to be. While growth and adaptation are necessary, they should not come at the cost of losing our core identity. Embracing change does not mean losing control over who we are. Instead, it is about understanding that change is a natural process and using it to our advantage. When we accept that change is inevitable, we gain the power to shape it in a way that benefits us. Instead of fearing the unknown, we can choose to see change as an opportunity for self-discovery, improvement, and reinvention. We can take control of our evolution by setting personal goals, seeking knowledge, and surrounding ourselves with positive influences. At the end of the day, the key is to embrace change while staying true to our values and principles. Growth is not about becoming someone else entirely. It's about becoming a better, wiser, and stronger version of who we are. Even if we don't feel like ourselves anymore, we must remember that every version of us serves a purpose in our journey. The past version of ourselves helped us get to where we are today, and the future version of us will take us even further. Change is not the enemy. It is the path to becoming who we are meant to be. Life is a constant wave of emotions, and as we go through different experiences, our emotional state shifts in ways we don't always anticipate. Sometimes these shifts are temporary, like feeling sad after a bad day, but other times they are more profound and long-lasting, changing how we see the world and interact with it. Emotional shifts can make us feel like we're no longer the same person, and in some cases they can create a disconnect between who we were and who we are becoming. This can be confusing and even unsettling, especially when the change feels out of our control. One of the biggest reasons for emotional shifts is trauma. Painful experiences such as losing a loved one, facing rejection, experiencing betrayal, or enduring hardship can leave a deep imprint on our emotions. When we go through something traumatic, our mind creates defense mechanisms to protect us from further pain. This can result in emotional numbness, increased anxiety, or even a shift in personality. Someone who was once outgoing and full of life might become withdrawn and reserved. A person who used to trust easily may now approach relationships with caution. These changes are not necessarily conscious decisions. They are survival responses, ways in which our emotions adapt to keep us from experiencing the same pain again. But emotional shifts don't always stem from negative experiences. Positive changes in life, such as success, falling in love, or discovering new opportunities, can also alter how we feel about ourselves and the world around us. When life is going well, we may feel more confident, more open to new experiences, and more optimistic about the future. However, even positive changes can come with challenges. For example, achieving success might bring unexpected pressure, leading to anxiety or self-doubt. Falling in love might create fears of losing that happiness. Change, even when it is good, still affects us emotionally, and adjusting to new feelings can be just as difficult as dealing with negative emotions. Another reason emotional shifts happen is personal growth. As we learn more about life, gain new perspectives, and experience different cultures, our emotional responses evolve. Things that once triggered us might no longer affect us, and things we never used to notice might start to carry deeper meaning. This is a natural part of maturing, but it can sometimes make us feel disconnected from our past selves. We may look back at the things we used to enjoy, the people we once connected with, or the beliefs we held, and realize they no longer resonate with us. This can create an identity crisis, making us question who we really are and where we belong. Relationships also play a huge role in emotional shifts. The people we surround ourselves with influence our emotions in ways we don't always recognize. A toxic relationship can drain our energy and make us feel like a shadow of our former selves. On the other hand, being around supportive and uplifting people can inspire growth and emotional healing. Sometimes, the biggest emotional changes happen when we let go of people who no longer align with who we are becoming. This can be painful, but it is often necessary for personal evolution. When emotional shifts occur, the most important thing to remember is that change does not mean loss. Just because we don't feel like our old selves anymore doesn't mean we have lost who we are. It simply means we are evolving. Instead of resisting these shifts, we should try to understand them, reflect on what they mean, and allow ourselves to grow through them. Emotions are not static. They flow, change, and adapt to our experiences. The key is to embrace the journey and trust that every emotional shift is shaping us into the person we are meant to become. Whether we realize it or not, the world around us plays a significant role in shaping who we are. From the moment we are born, we are influenced by our families, our cultures, our environments, and later by society, media, and the people we choose to surround ourselves with. These external forces shape our thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors, sometimes in ways we don't even recognize. Over time, they can mold us into someone different from who we once were, leading us to wake up one day and feel like we're not ourselves anymore. This shift can be both positive and negative depending on the type of influences we are exposed to. One of the strongest external influences comes from the people in our lives. Family, friends, colleagues, and even casual acquaintances all have an impact on our identity. We naturally adopt behaviors, mannerisms, and ways of thinking from those around us. If we spend time with optimistic, driven individuals, we may find ourselves becoming more motivated and positive. Conversely, if we are surrounded by negativity, doubt, or toxic behaviors, we may start to mirror those qualities, even if they don't align with who we truly are. Peer pressure is a classic example of how external influences can change a person. Many times, we make choices not because they reflect our true desires, but because we want to fit in or gain approval from others. Social media has become another powerful force shaping our identities. We are constantly exposed to curated versions of other people's lives, leading us to compare ourselves to unrealistic standards. The pressure to look a certain way, act a certain way, or achieve certain milestones can make us feel like we are not enough as we are. In an attempt to keep up, we may start altering parts of ourselves, our appearance, our opinions, our values, just to align with what is deemed acceptable or desirable. Over time, this can create a disconnect between who we truly are and the persona we have created to please others. The more we mold ourselves to fit external expectations, the further we drift from our authentic selves. Culture and society also play a major role in shaping who we become. Every culture has its own set of norms, traditions, and expectations that subtly dictate how we should think and behave. From childhood, we are taught what is considered right and wrong based on societal standards, not necessarily based on our own reasoning or beliefs. As we grow older, we may start questioning these norms, realizing that some of them do not align with our personal values. However, breaking away from cultural or societal expectations can be difficult because it often comes with fear of judgment, rejection, or isolation. Many people find themselves living lives that don't truly fulfill them simply because they feel pressured to conform. Even our work environments shape us. The demands of a career can sometimes force us to suppress parts of ourselves in order to be more professional, productive, or successful. Over time, this suppression can make us feel disconnected from who we used to be. Many people who once had creative passions or personal dreams end up losing touch with them because their jobs require them to prioritize other aspects of life. While responsibilities are important, it's crucial to recognize when external influences are making us lose sight of the things that once brought us joy and fulfillment. The challenge with external influences is learning how to navigate them without losing ourselves in the process. While it is natural to be influenced by the world around us, we must constantly check in with ourselves and ask, am I making this choice because it aligns with who I am or because it's what others expect of me? Self-awareness is key in ensuring that we evolve in ways that feel right for us rather than simply becoming a reflection of external pressures. At the end of the day, we have the power to decide which influences we accept and which ones we reject. Staying true to ourselves in a world that constantly tries to shape us is not easy, but it is one of the most important things we can do for our own happiness and fulfillment. Passion is one of the strongest driving forces in life. It gives us purpose, excitement, and a reason to wake up every morning with energy and motivation. When we are passionate about something, we feel connected to ourselves and the world in a meaningful way. However, there are times when that passion begins to fade. The things that once filled us with joy no longer excite us. The dreams we once chased no longer seem worth pursuing. We find ourselves going through the motions, feeling disconnected from what used to inspire us. This loss of passion can be confusing, frustrating, and even frightening because it makes us question who we are and where we are headed. There are many reasons why people lose their passion. One of the most common is burnout. When we push ourselves too hard without rest, even the things we love can become exhausting. What was once enjoyable starts to feel like an obligation, and the excitement we once had turns into stress. This often happens to people who are deeply dedicated to their work, hobbies, or relationships. They give so much of themselves that they have nothing left to enjoy what they once loved. Burnout doesn't just drain our energy, it slowly takes away our passion, making everything feel like a chore rather than a source of joy. Another major reason for losing passion is change in priorities. As we grow and evolve, our interests and goals shift. Something that once felt incredibly important to us may no longer hold the same value. This is a natural part of life, but it can be difficult to accept, especially when our past passions were a big part of our identity. We might feel guilty for not loving the things we used to or feel lost without them. It can also be confusing when we see others still thriving in the same passion that once fueled us, making us wonder why we no longer feel the same excitement. But the truth is, outgrowing something does not mean we have lost ourselves. It simply means we are moving toward something new, even if we don't yet know what that is. External pressures can also play a role in draining our passion. When we feel forced to pursue something, whether it's a career path, a relationship, or a personal goal, we may lose the sense of joy that originally drew us to it. Expectations from family, society, or even our own past selves can turn something we once loved into something that feels like a burden. When we start doing things for approval rather than genuine enjoyment, passion fades. The more we focus on meeting expectations rather than following our true desires, the more disconnected we become from our authentic selves. Sometimes passion fades because of repeated failure or disappointment. When we put our heart into something and don't see the results we hope for, it can be discouraging. After multiple setbacks, it's easy to lose motivation and start questioning whether the passion was real to begin with. The fear of failing again can make us hesitant to keep trying, and over time, that hesitation turns into complete disinterest. But in many cases, the passion is not truly gone. It is simply buried under frustration, self-doubt, or fear. Losing passion can make us feel empty, as if a part of us is missing. But just because it fades does not mean it is lost forever. Sometimes all we need is a break, a change in perspective, or the courage to explore new interests. Reigniting passion often requires us to step back and ask ourselves what truly excites us. It may not be the same things as before, and that's okay. Passion is not something that stays constant. It evolves with us. The key is to remain open to new possibilities, to allow ourselves to rediscover joy in unexpected places, and to trust that even if we don't feel passionate right now, we have the ability to find it again. Life moves fast, and in the middle of all the chaos, it's easy to lose sight of who we are. We get caught up in responsibilities, routines, and the expectations of others, rarely taking the time to stop and reflect on ourselves. But self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools for personal growth and self-awareness. When we feel like we are not ourselves anymore, self-reflection is the key to understanding why. It helps us reconnect with our true selves, process our emotions, and make sense of the changes happening within us. Without it, we risk drifting further away from who we really are, living on autopilot rather than with intention. Self-reflection allows us to examine our thoughts, feelings, and actions with honesty. It's easy to go through life reacting to situations without ever questioning why we respond the way we do. But when we take a step back and look at our behavior, we start to see patterns, both positive and negative. We begin to recognize what makes us happy, what triggers our stress, and what aspects of our lives no longer serve us. This awareness gives us the power to make conscious choices rather than being controlled by unconscious habits. It helps us identify whether the changes we've gone through are leading us toward growth or pushing us away from our true selves. One of the biggest benefits of self-reflection is that it helps us understand our emotions on a deeper level. Many people go through life feeling disconnected from themselves without realizing that they are suppressing emotions rather than addressing them. When we ignore our feelings for too long, we start to feel numb, lost, or even like a stranger to ourselves. But by taking the time to reflect, whether through journaling, meditation, or deep conversations, we can start to uncover the root of our emotions. We can ask ourselves important questions. Why do I feel this way? What has changed in my life? What do I truly want? These questions open the door to self-discovery, allowing us to reconnect with what truly matters to us. Self-reflection also helps us gain clarity on our values and beliefs. As we grow, our perspectives change, and sometimes the things we once believed in no longer resonate with us. This can be unsettling, making us feel like we don't recognize ourselves anymore. But rather than seeing this as a loss, self-reflection allows us to redefine our beliefs in a way that aligns with our evolving selves. It helps us distinguish between the values we have chosen for ourselves and those that have been imposed on us by society, family, or past experiences. By taking the time to reflect, we can ensure that we are living according to our own principles rather than simply following what we have been taught to believe. Another crucial aspect of self-reflection is that it allows us to recognize our personal growth. Too often, we focus on what's wrong, what's missing, or how we've changed in ways we don't understand. But self-reflection also gives us the chance to acknowledge how far we've come. It helps us appreciate our progress, even when it doesn't feel like much. We may realize that we have become stronger, wiser, or more resilient. We may recognize that even though we feel different, we have gained experiences and insights that make us better equipped to handle life's challenges. This shift in perspective can turn feelings of being lost into an understanding that we are simply evolving. Self-reflection is not always easy. It requires us to be honest with ourselves even when the truth is uncomfortable. It demands that we face our fears, our regrets, and the aspects of ourselves that we may have been avoiding. But through this process, we gain a deeper understanding of who we are and what we need to feel whole again. It is through self-reflection that we find clarity, direction, and the ability to reconnect with the person we truly want to be. Change is one of the most unsettling aspects of life, and one of the biggest reasons we feel like we are not ourselves anymore is the fear of the unknown. When life takes an unexpected turn, when we face new challenges, or when we are forced to step outside of our comfort zones, fear can take over. This fear can make us feel lost, uncertain, and disconnected from who we used to be. It is a natural response to unfamiliar situations, but if we let it control us, it can prevent us from growing and discovering new possibilities. The fear of the unknown comes in many forms. It can be fear of change, fear of failure, fear of losing control, or even fear of success. Sometimes we hold on tightly to our past selves because it feels safe and familiar. We resist change because we don't know what the future holds, and that uncertainty can feel overwhelming. We might ask ourselves, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I fail? What if I end up worse than before? These thoughts can create anxiety and self-doubt, making us hesitant to embrace new opportunities or move forward in life. One of the biggest ways fear of the unknown affects us is by keeping us stuck. When we are afraid of what comes next, we may cling to old habits, relationships, or mindsets, even when they no longer serve us. We convince ourselves that staying the same is better than taking a risk, even if deep down we know that change is necessary. This fear-based mindset can make us feel trapped in a version of ourselves that no longer feels authentic. We may feel disconnected, unfulfilled, or even like a shadow of who we once were. Another way fear of the unknown impacts us is through self-sabotage. Sometimes we are so afraid of stepping into something new that we unconsciously create obstacles for ourselves. We procrastinate, avoid opportunities, or make excuses to stay where we are, even when we know we need to move forward. This fear can make us doubt our abilities, question our worth, and convince ourselves that we are not ready for change. It can also cause us to overthink every decision, leading to paralysis and inaction. The more we allow fear to control our thoughts, the more we feel lost in our own lives. Fear of the unknown can also cause emotional distress. When we don't know what's coming next, our minds often create worst-case scenarios. We focus on everything that could go wrong rather than considering the possibilities of what could go right. This negative thinking can lead to anxiety, stress, and even depression. It can make us feel like we are constantly waiting for something bad to happen, even when there is no real threat. The uncertainty becomes overwhelming, making it difficult to focus on the present or enjoy life as it is. But while fear of the unknown is powerful, it is not undefeatable. The key to overcoming it is shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing the unknown as something to fear, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. Every great thing in life comes with uncertainty. Every new experience, every major life change, every success story began with a moment of stepping into the unknown. The truth is, we will never have all the answers, and that's okay. Life is not meant to be fully planned out. It is meant to be experienced, learned from, and explored. Facing the unknown requires courage, but courage doesn't mean being fearless. It means moving forward despite the fear. It means trusting ourselves enough to believe that we can handle whatever comes our way. It means letting go of the need to control everything and embracing the idea that uncertainty can lead to beautiful possibilities. When we stop fighting against change and start embracing it, we begin to rediscover ourselves. We realize that feeling lost is often just a sign that we are in the middle of transformation. And when we let go of fear, we create space for growth, self-discovery, and new beginnings. Our past experiences have a profound effect on who we are today. The memories, events, and relationships we carry with us shape the way we see ourselves and interact with the world. Sometimes, these experiences are so significant that they can change us at a core level, making us feel like we are not the same person we once were. It's not always easy to recognize the influence of the past because it's often buried beneath layers of time. But the truth is that our histories are deeply embedded in our identities, whether they were positive or negative. Our past experiences shape how we respond to the present and can leave us with feelings of disconnection from our current selves. One of the most common ways our past impacts us is through unresolved trauma. Trauma, whether from childhood, past relationships, or any other difficult experience, can leave lasting scars. These experiences shape how we react to stress, how we trust others, and how we view the world. Often the effects of trauma are not immediately obvious. We may go years without realizing that the way we see and engage with life is influenced by something that happened long ago. It could be a deep-seated fear, a tendency to avoid certain situations, or even a pattern of behavior that keeps us from moving forward. When trauma is not addressed, it can cloud our sense of self and make us feel as though we have changed in ways that we can't explain. But even positive experiences shape us, though in a different way. Good memories, accomplishments, and nurturing relationships build the foundation of our self-esteem and confidence. The pride we take in these moments often becomes part of our identity, and when they are no longer present, either due to time or change, we can feel a sense of loss. For example, the passion and drive we once had when pursuing a dream may dwindle when the dream is achieved or no longer seems as relevant. The relationships that once defined us might fade as we grow apart. And with them, a part of our identity goes too. These shifts don't mean we've lost ourselves, but they can feel like a rupture of who we thought we were. Our past also shapes us through the lessons we've learned. Sometimes the lessons are taught through hardship. If we've gone through a difficult time and managed to survive, we often emerge with a different set of priorities, attitudes, and beliefs. While this growth can be empowering, it can also make us feel disconnected from the person we were before the experience. Who we are now may feel very different from who we were then, even if we're proud of the growth we've achieved. The problem comes when we get stuck in that old way of thinking, when we define ourselves solely by what we've been through and can't see beyond it. We might feel as though the person we used to be is lost to time, only to realize that the growth we've experienced is just another layer of who we are. Family dynamics, too, have an indelible impact on who we become. The values, behaviors, and patterns we inherit from our families influence our sense of self deeply. Sometimes these influences are empowering, such as when we are taught resilience, kindness, or ambition. Other times, family dynamics can impose limitations, creating feelings of guilt, inadequacy, or fear. These deeply ingrained beliefs from childhood stay with us, and as adults, we may find ourselves struggling to break free from them. The voices of our past can still echo in our minds, telling us who we are and who we're supposed to be, long after we've left our childhood homes. This can lead to inner conflict when we try to reconcile the person we were with the person we want to become. The more we reflect on our past experiences, the more we realize just how much they shape our present identity. But the key to feeling like ourselves, again, lies in learning how to process those experiences and integrate them into our current lives. It's important to understand that the past doesn't define us. It is simply a part of our story. We don't have to be stuck in the experiences that have shaped us negatively, nor should we be constrained by our successes. By accepting our past, forgiving ourselves for mistakes, and embracing the growth that comes from both the good and the bad experiences, we can reconnect with who we are now while still honoring the person we once were. The past has an undeniable impact on our identity, but it does not have to control us. It is possible to heal, evolve, and redefine who we are, allowing the past to be a part of us without dictating our future. The feeling of not being yourself anymore can stem from a variety of complex factors, including external influences, loss of passion, fear of the unknown, unresolved past experiences, and a lack of self-reflection. Each of these elements plays a significant role in shaping who we become, often without us realizing it. While these changes can sometimes lead to feelings of disconnection and uncertainty, they also offer opportunities for growth and self-discovery. By embracing change, reflecting on our emotions, and accepting our past without letting it define us, we can reconnect with our authentic selves. The journey to rediscovering who we are is not always straightforward, but it is through self-awareness, courage, and resilience that we find clarity and a renewed sense of purpose. Ultimately, it is not about returning to who we were, but evolving into a more genuine version of ourselves.